Hey everybody, it's me, Gregory Manarino. It is Wednesday, August 14th, 2019, and yeah, we do have to talk. We now have a 2 to 10 inversion, and it's getting a lot of attention on the financial channels. Also, as I am doing this video blog, stocks were under a lot of pressure. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down nearly 400 points. And let me put this into a perspective for you. I explained to you that it appeared to me that we were going to get a third run at that high with regard to the Dow just prior to the 700-point loss. Well, that third attempt has officially failed in my view. And that means that more than likely there is more selling down the pike here, and it could be substantial. Now, I've also explained to you that once this inversion occurred, this is the first time it has happened since the meltdown. The last time we had a 210 inversion was in 2007. How many of you recall or have seen the mainstream financial talking heads explaining how this would not happen? Oh, we're not going to get a 210 inversion. Oh, no. These so-called experts make me want to laugh. Literally, when I saw this morning, I actually did chuckle a little bit because I've been explaining to all of you that this would happen for years. Now, let's take this up a notch, okay? Let me explain to you what's going to happen, and it's only going to fuel the issue. It's going to make it worse. What do we know? It always comes down to what we know. This market is driven a lot by confidence. Confidence that it's going to work. It has nothing to do with PE ratios, forward guidance, or anything else. I mean, this market has been driven by a relentless acquisition of debt on an unbelievable scale. That's the only thing that has propped up this market. The debt market, because of the action of world central banks and world respective leaders, all of them, have inflated a financial monster the likes of which has never been seen on this planet Earth. Artificially suppressed rates have created distortions across the spectrum of asset classes. Again, so big, it's almost impossible to get your head around. So, now that we have this situation where we have a yield curve in a 2 to 10 inversion, I mean, look, the writing has been on the wall for the longest time. The yield curve itself has been inverted for quite a while. When the 30-year was yielding less than the federal funds rate, I mean, if that wasn't the biggest clue on the face of the earth, by the way, the 30-year right now is at an all-time historic low. This is a yield curve that is screaming at us all, and we better start listening, that there is trouble coming down the pike. And it's going to be worse than anything we've ever had before, because these distortions are beyond anything that we have ever seen before. And again, the middle class is buried in debt, more debt than they have ever held. Record high debt. Margin debt, the amount of cash that people have borrowed to participate in this bull market, is also at all-time record highs. So what does that tell you? This is literally a setup like we've seen during the 1929 crash with regard to margin debt. And we all understand how that played out. I mean, come on. Is history going to repeat itself? Worse. I can promise you that. Worse. Look, name one guy out here who has called this market better than me. And I'm talking about, look, I'm not always right, but put this together. I'm explaining to you things before they happen, and 9 times out of 10, I am dead on. So with that said, let's put more things together. So as I just alluded to earlier, this is what's about to happen, okay? We're going to hear from our president, from Peter Navarro, who's really running the show, and the president's just listening to this man who has no idea what he's doing. Every single world leader now is playing the debt expansion game. Now, We're going to hear the president call for a 1% cut in the federal funds rate, something he's been talking about for a very long time. We're going to hear from the president to talk about more easy money pumped into this market in the form of quantitative easing. He has mentioned this. This is 100% wrong to do in this environment. And it's only going to be done for one reason. Understand, these calls from every world leader, not just the president, but you're going to hear it from him maybe today, because he's been talking about this for quite a while. The Fed needs to cut rates. The Fed needs to cut rates. All it is doing is fueling the debt crisis that we are already in. Let me explain to you what a smart man would do right now. The president should say the Federal Reserve needs to raise rates now. Today, what would be the ramifications of that? The stock market would take a huge hit. Understand, the stock market is going to take a hit anyway. This is right now about the middle class and about saving our country. It's about trying to preserve whatever is left of the middle class, which is about to be decimated on an unbelievable scale as our president and other world leaders call for more debt acquisition. It is the absolute wrong thing to do. So when you hear today or tomorrow the president calling for rate cuts, start tweeting him. Start tweeting the president, start calling the president, explain to him that he has to stop playing the debt game. That is what has got us into this epic mess. The president, Mr. President, if this makes it to your desk, stop thinking about the stock market. Start thinking about the United States of America and the middle class. Make the Federal Reserve raise the federal funds rate today. Do not cut. All you're doing, Mr. President, and Peter Navarro, who's the president's guru with regard to monetary policy, Peter Navarro, for you, sir, get a clue. You're telling the president to do the wrong thing. You cannot continue to fuel the debt bubble. That's what's got us into this issue. You need to, the Federal Reserve, maybe some member of the Fed is listening, you need to raise rates today. Cutting them is only going to exacerbate the problem exponentially. That's why we are here. Yes, the stock market is going to would take a substantial hit, but it's going to take a hit anyway. But it would protect the middle class. Do we not matter at all? I don't think we do. Like I explained to you, I think it was yesterday, to the market, the average guy out here is a piece of excrement to get stepped on and squashed. That's the truth. But this entire thing right now, people, is coming down. And we're witnessing a train wreck in slow motion, although this is happening rather rapidly. And I've explained to you that there is no way to gauge how fast this is actually going to come down at one particular time, because everyone's going to look to leave the party before the next guy. That's how it's going to play out. So anyway, in summary, we have now had a third failed attempt to break out above that high just before the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 700 points. We have now a 2 to 10 yield curve inversion. The yield curve is a ticking time bomb, and it looks like it's going to start going off pretty soon. Stocks are going to end up under a lot of pressure here as the mainstream financial channels, like I explained to you what happened, start talking about it. Confidence is going to get shaken in this market. And the president and Peter Navarro are wrong. We need to raise rates today. Stop playing the debt game. It's not about propping up the stock market. We've reached probably a point of maximum saturation. Now, I'm not saying the stock market is going to rebound in a day or two, but this is looking very ominous to me across the spectrum. How many of you believe that the right thing to do is for the president to listen to the idiot Peter Navarro and fuel the debt bubble even further, which has got us into the situation. How many of you believe that the Federal Reserve needs to raise rates today? Forget about cutting. The president is going to start screaming from rooftops to lower the federal funds rate. But remember what this guy explained to you for I don't know how long. They cannot stop the longer end of the curve from dropping. So I don't care what they do. If the president gets his wish and the Federal Reserve lowers the federal funds rate, yeah, sure, we'll kind of maybe normalize the curve to a slight degree for a very short period of time. All that's going to happen is this longer end of the curve is going to come down. Then what, we keep continuing to cut? Only an imbecile of the highest order would do the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome. It's really the truth. I want to hear from you. What do you think? Should Peter Navarro's policy be put into place by the president calling for cutting rates, or should the president tell the Fed to start raising rates now, allow the stock market to take a hit, which it's going to take anyway, and again, save our country, save the middle class? I want to know what you think. Please share this video. Get it out as far and wide as you possibly can, and maybe it'll make it to the president's desk. Maybe it'll make some sense to him, because he's got to stop listening to this guy Navarro. Navarro has got a mental defect, all right? And anyone who believes that playing the debt game that every single world leader is doing, sucking us down the debt rat hole, is a good policy, is deranged and needs to go see a psychiatrist or something. It makes no sense to me. The first guy to take the opposite side of this trade, and I'm hoping it's you, Mr. President, is going to make a difference, not just for the United States, but for the world. Either we march into a worst-case scenario, which is going to eclipse every single market meltdown crash in history by exponents, or we do something now. It's time to act. All right, look, I'm out of here, and I'll see all of you at the end of the day. Again, please share this video.